Hey all, just gonna make a drink before I start. There we go. Oh shit, I'm supposed to be doing a review! Hello, I'm the Greasy Gaming #1 source for #2 games, and welcome to episode 2 of, what's the name now? Greasy Shorts! I have a lot of games, and it's hard to choose which ones I should review first and which ones I should delay for a spectacular video, but there's one game on my shelf that stands out amongst the rest, and not in that rental copy case kind of way. Enter Heart of Darkness, requested by Friday the 13th Jason X. Now this was a review I was supposed to do years ago, but never got round to it because, to tell you the truth, I absolutely loathed it. But after giving it a well-deserved chance, I have to say this is a brilliant game. HOD's story is fairly basic and doesn't develop particularly well. You play as Andy, a boy genius who needs to rescue his dog companion when he's taken by an eclipse. I'm not even making this up. It's not long before you go to this alternate world through a black hole in space for your quest. This unknown planet is hostile to humans, but isn't that the point? The game wasn't designed to be a horror game, but simply put players in a setting where they're uncomfortable. Let me tell you, it works. Although Andy might seem like an obnoxious kid at first glance, he's actually quite funny, and you have to admire his mechanical knack. He's built spaceships, AI, and even laser weapons in a tree house. That, you've got to admit, is pretty cool. When I first played this game, I found it way too unforgiving. The controls felt stiff and the tutorials were minimal, not telling you about respawning enemies, the different kinds of jump you needed to know, and how sophisticated the darkness monkeys were. That's not their real name, but other than shadow creatures, I don't know what to call them. You'll start out with a laser weapon which isn't too effective against the darkness monkeys because of how long it takes to disintegrate them. In fact, you'll be grateful when you lose it later on because the combat is kept to a minimal and you'll be fully immersed in this fearful, unknown world. Most of the gameplay comes from simple puzzle solving such as breaking open passages and platforming challenges. When I first played this, I got stuck a lot, and days ago tried to base my review based on 2 levels of experience. But as I write this, I've gotten a lot further and have enjoyed every second of it. Your laser beam is later replaced by this green matter, which can not only harm enemies but affect certain parts in the environment. Using this green projectile, which reminds me of a WoW Warlock's Chaos Bolt, allows you to destroy certain obstacles and help you uncover new ways of exploring a level. Heart of Darkness is still frustrating to the point where you won't have any qualms about killing your flatmates. This is why this video is in memory of Undertaker, a good friend, an excellent marksman, but no one could bury a man like he could. God bless you, Mortis! Anyway, there are so many points where you get annoyed, but once again I have to admit, I needed this kick in the balls from a game. I don't play many hard games, but this is one that makes you think and doesn't gimp itself to get you unstuck. If you're gonna play, you better do it right. Outside of this though, there's very little I can say about Heart of Darkness. It's a game that can't be described but has to be experienced firsthand. I'm sure there's many out there that could be far more informative and articulate, but me, I've never played a game like it, so I can't make many comments. I guess one more point on the gameplay could be stated, and that's what the world is like. The monsters, while unoriginal, are varied and flat out weird, but again, it's the fear of not knowing what everything does and why it's so hostile that makes us worry about being in it. The world's design is fascinating, especially the swamp stages of level 2. It's here where you can truly appreciate the art direction and attention to detail, as well as what the team was going for. It's far nicer than the Badlands of the first level, even though they too were nice in their own right. In fact, that's the best thing about the game, the graphics. The animation is by far the best on the PlayStation, which is comparable to Broken Sword, using rotoscope animation methods to bring the shadow creatures and others to life. It even uses claymation and CGI from time to time, other methods I really like in art design. Heart of Darkness boasts to have the first video game soundtrack that used an orchestra, and I find that hard to believe. I guess I'm just jealous, but the joke's on HOD because it's not all that grand in my opinion. What little music you hear is okay, but doesn't compare to Medieval and, Time Crisis? I still hold on to my statement about the game's control being terrible, especially with jumping. My thumbs were blistered after playing the game for more than an hour on a D-pad, but after finding the rewarding side of the game, I felt it was a small price to pay. You see, when Andy jumps, it feels clunky and irresponsive. In 40 Winks the jumping feels heavy, but it does it when you press the button, not half a second later. You might think it's a minor gripe, but I've died so many times to simple mistakes because of it. Other than that, the controls, once you've adapted to them, are okay, I guess. Before we end this review, let me tell you why I hated this game. It was one of the hardest games I'd ever played, but for all the wrong reasons, including cramped control, respawning enemies, poor hit detection, and little in-game help. But is that reason enough to despise and loathe this game? Well, yeah. Well, okay, so it is, but it's not enough to abandon it for years and give it a scathing review. It takes perseverance, and if you give on it, you won't see what it truly is. You don't choose the game chooses you, and that's the reason why it's a cult classic, because it doesn't change what it believes in for anyone. So if you're looking for a short yet memorable and difficult adventure that's reward comes from not the ending but the journey, this is what you're looking for. So until the next time, I'm the Greasy Gaming #1 source for #2 games. Thanks for watching, ta-ta for now.